Guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tank12, however you wanna call me, I don't really care. And today we're back in the realms of World of Tanks, and I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm going to be having 4 exams in January, at the early beginning of January. I'm learning right now, and that can mean, or is probably going to be, at the cost of quite a few videos. Unfortunately, during that period, I will not be able to upload as much as I would like to. I'll see if I can maybe get 1 or 2 videos up a week, and if that is so, I just wanted to get your guys' heads up, so you guys know that there are some changes coming in a very close or near future. And why am I showing you a gameplay of the Leopard prototype A once more? Well, it's one of those tanks that I really do enjoy playing right now, but this is not the reason why I want to show you a game of this tank. But it's, I think, much more the fact that there are certain topics that have to be covered in, I think, in the gaming world, especially World of Tanks, since it is a team-based game. There are quite a few confusions with certain people that what that definition really means. What does team play even define in World of Tanks? And today we're going to be taking a look at one of the topics that I possibly have covered a little bit a few months ago. And today we're going to be talking about blaming other people in World of Tanks. To get down to the problem right here is the need to understand the system of World of Tanks. You people who watch my videos, you probably do understand the World of Tanks system. You know what it's all about. It's 15 on 15. This is standard battle, no encounter or assault, and your mission or objective is very simple. Either kill all the enemy 15 tanks or cap the enemy base. And the only 2 things that you have to do is not to get killed and kill the enemy tanks to win a match, right? And obviously there's much more to it than just those little facts. If you have good team play, if you have the right combination of vehicles, if you have the right combination of tank types, like a good amount of light tanks with medium tanks, a good amount of tank destroyers that can maybe hold the base, you'll be able to do that very well. If you have even communication with your team, you're going to be a much better team from the get-go. But since you're playing this game mostly with random other players, it can be quite difficult and frustrating. There are situations where you probably will have problems with getting along with some people because they do some stuff. Maybe they push you out in the open while you're in cover. We've all had these situations, and they are still very annoying when they happen, and you might just maybe get a little bit upset and shoot the vehicle that is pushing you out of the cover. So I've seen a lot of those things happen. I've done them myself. I am no angel at all. I have done things that I'm not very proud of in World of Tanks. I have said things to people that I'm not very proud of. But it's all in the game. It's all in World of Tanks. So what does this have to do with blame? Well, it is a team-based game, so in a team-based game, you cannot go all out ham by yourself. You need some assistance by your team. You cannot face 15 tanks all by yourself. That can be as simple as the deployment at the beginning, when there are like only 2 tanks going one way and the rest of the team is going the other way. That is something that happens quite often, and that upsets a lot of people, especially the ones who see the importance of the other part maybe, and they try to do something against it, go the other way, and then get taken out fairly easily because the other team is doing the exact same thing on the other side, just vice versa. And just mirrored. And it's really interesting because there are certain situations where some people just don't have the the complete overview of the battlefield, and I've noticed that. I've noticed people get quite upset with certain constellations. Some people play as if they don't have a minimap. Some people have completely deactivated the chat, which I think is a bad option. Don't deactivate the chat, because chat is really important. I know there's a lot of spamming, but it still can, give you the important intel when something is going down and you can't really see on the minimap, and you need those informations like how much HP does the enemy tank have when you're on a one-on-one situation, and where was he spotted last. This is really important, and I think that is where communications and team play should come into focus, because in World of Tanks, these things, when they do happen, I'm not saying that they don't happen, but I'm saying that they are a fairly rare feature of World of Tanks. Team play is not a given in this game. There are people who will abuse you, or not abuse you, but use you in certain situations to gain advantage. Is it a purple player? Is it a blue player? Is it a red player? It doesn't matter what kind of stats you have. But people do tend to try to get the best out of their own vehicles, out of their own matches. They want to have a good match, and when you are coming into their way, because let's say there are like 3 tanks shooting at them, and you're coming into that part of cover where they want to go, they will maybe push you out when there's not enough space. And I know it's stupid, but that is the way people kind of work, kind of egotistical, and I'm not even sure if you saw it, but what I wanted to say about Blame is I've just talked. Actually, we have to go back to that moment, and we'll go right back, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with Blame in World of Tanks. Here, in this situation, you can see that currently there's a T69 and me holding the north, while there are a few tanks in their cap, protecting their base, and we have a few tanks down in south who protected our base. And what you can see right here is that I was trying to snipe over here. The T69 was spotting for us, and I was sniping, and I decided to move over to another position to get some better shots on targets that I can actually do some damage against. And what you can see right here is the T69 is pinging the position where I am, and he's trying to get my attention. He looks to be quite upset, and you can see that. Great time to leave, Leo. And he's upset that I left my position. And if you have seen the kill counter just below there a second ago, you could see that the T69 just died because he crossed the bridge. And I responded with I didn't understand why he would push when there are like 3 tanks sitting at base, and I commented on the move as pretty damn retarded, because I think there was no valuable asset for us to push that bridge when we have tanks coming in from the south. Have a little bit of patience, and we will have them racked up, surrounded in a second. And he decided to move, and he expected me to push, because in his belief, this game is not about camping. It's about being active participant in the game, and I think that's completely fine. But there is a difference between moving up, holding a position where you can't push, and pushing when there are 2 sides going in against the targets. And I'm just gonna stop the video real fast here, because it's going to come to an end anyhow. Now it's stopped. And I've been blamed by certain players. I've been called on, after the match. They wrote me. I've gotten a lot of cheat accusations and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't really bother me at all. I know what mods I use. I know which are completely fine, which are not fine. I know that I only use the fine mods, the good ones. Actually, it's the only mod that I use is XVM. That is in the mod pack of Quickie Baby, because of the garage slots where you can really switch around real fast. I like that. gives you a pretty much a faster garage management system. It's much easier, but that's beside the point right now. What I want to cover is that there were some people who were writing to me, especially one guy who was really upset, and he was upset that I flanked him and that I killed him from behind while my team was storming him from the front. And if you think about it, it's just tactically reasonable, right? If you're in a medium tank, you use your mobility advantage to your advantage, and you push around and try to take out that vehicle, help your team. But he was really upset that I was kind of attacking him from behind while he was facing tanks from the front. And I don't really see the point in why you should be upset, since it's obviously part of the game. It's just strategically, it's smart. It's a smart thing to do when you're in a medium tank. He would have done the same. So it's really interesting to see where some of these people come from, and what kind of beliefs they share in righteousness, in the right kind of action. And it's really interesting to see in World of Tanks, because sometimes you get arguments that are so over the top and so weird that you just think if that person is really so that naive in real life. And this time around, I wrote with the T69 after the match, and I explained him my position. Unfortunately, I don't have it saved anymore. He blacklisted me. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. He died because he went over the bridge, and there were like 3 or 4 tanks shooting him. A Jagdtiger, there was a T26E4, there was the VK100, and then there was the artillery. And he expected me to give him cover fire from out in the open where I would get shot myself. And I moved away because I did not expect him to push. Maybe I should have been more direct and told him at the beginning when he was at that corner not to push. Maybe it would have given him a different result and he would have gotten some additional damage and wouldn't have gotten destroyed. But I thought it was a given. So when I moved over to engage the RHM Waffenträger Borsig, he decided to go over the bridge, and he was decimated, of course. Obviously, he was upset, and this is where the blame part comes in. He blamed me for his undoing. And this is a very important thing that you have to keep in mind. Blaming others in life and in game sometimes is justified, but there's a line that you have to keep in mind that, well, if you cross it yourself, you cannot blame anyone else, right? And I'm not saying that I have never blamed anyone. I'm no saint. I have blamed people in World of Tanks for certain situations, for certain things, for certain moves, and some of them were justified, some were not. But this time around, it was not justified, and he was really upset about it. And I think it was just, if he would have told me that he was going to push, I would have told him it was a bad idea, and he would have known that there was no support coming from me. Then he would have maybe not pushed. So with communication, you can maybe work around these issues much better and easier than without communications. Maybe that's the solution to the entire blame theory. But, it happens so often when people blame you for maybe, let's say, they're like, what also happens quite a lot is when people go one way and you actually follow them, you assist them. Maybe you're in a medium tank, you assist them at the beginning, and then you run away. Obviously, people don't like to see it when their teammates flock away, especially when they're quick medium tanks who can do a lot of damage. But in such a situation, when you are facing 2 versus 10 and you can save yourself by getting out of there, I think it's very important to understand the context sometimes behind it, right? It could be the douchebaggy thing to do, and I understand it. I have complained a lot about such players as well. But in certain situations, it is more beneficial to your team and to the main objective of winning the game when you can maybe fall back and try it again. I know it might feel like you're sacrificing a teammate, but at the same time, better one tank down than two tanks down. That can make a difference, right? But that doesn't stop there. Blaming each other has become like a national sport in World of Tanks. It can be anything, right? Like if they miss a shot because you were like at that position just a half second before him, and he was like, "No, I have the right to be in that position. You don't." So it's kind of the the crux, the problem in the middle that I think is one of the main reasons why people don't trust each other in World Tanks, and why team play is not as often the norm as in other games where you really need to work together. It would be a much nicer atmosphere, a much nicer game when people would not constantly be at each other's throats with the blame. You know, if you would have pushed that part of the map, we would have won. It doesn't really matter because it is a team effort if you win the game or not, most of the time anyway. And I think if we stay fair to each other, we have to take into account every single opinion, right? But that's kind of difficult in a match. It's just maybe show a little bit more, or look at your own actions before you judge the actions of others, and then you should re-evaluate the situation. That might give you the advantage in the next game where you would be in a similar situation like that. Because if we all took a look back at our moves, we would have seen that the T69 there unfortunately just overextended. Nothing we could have done or our team could have done because they were moving in on them. There was no need for him to push them. And I think that is the first step to getting better in this game, is to understand where you've done wrong and how you can avoid these challenges. Just like in real life, you making mistakes, that happens, but just see that you don't do it again, right? Because if you make the mistakes over and over again, you'll never get better. You'll never get on with whatever you're doing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And I know it's a lot of hypothetical, philosophical kind of topics right now. It's just talking most of the time. I'll see that I get some gameplay in there as well, but I can't promise you a lot of videos. So I'll see you guys after New Year and Christmas probably, and I hope you guys have a great one. Peace out.